Thraxian. Homeworld. Qua-So is a vibrant, evergreen jungle moon orbiting a blue gas giant known as Ku-Ta-Ko. Both Qua-So and Ku-Ta-Ko orbits are almost perfectly circular, the life on the planet adapted to diverse types of nights and days. True day, when surface of the moon is directly lighted up by the system's star. False day, when the surface of the moon is lighted up by the light reflected from the gas giant. True night, when the moon's surface isn't lighted by either the system star or that reflected from the gas giant. Long night, when the sun is fully eclipsed by the Ku-Ta-Ko and entire moon is covered in darkness. This stellar position means that Qua-So experiences multiple seasons within an 8-week period, when the moon travels around the gas giant. Summer lasts 3 weeks, when surface experiences both true and false day. It's a very hot period in the cycle. 2 of those weeks experience partial true night, but still majority of the day-night cycle is rather bright. Winter lasts 1 week, when sun is fully eclipsed by Ku-Ta-Ko. Long night causes temperature to fall below zero and world to freeze over for a few days. This is a rather harsh drop in temperatures. Spring and fall are when Qua-So experiences Earth-like night and day cycle, each lasting exactly 2 weeks, when the moon experiences only true days and true nights. The stellar position of Qua-So and its orbit caused evolution of interesting fauna and flora that can either go through its entire life cycle within one rotation around the gas giant, or one that can hibernate for the cold period of winter, or can adapt to either very hot summer or freezing winters. Thraxians build their cities in form of great domes, or in some cases, great spheres suspended between mountains or titanic hazo trees, which are a singular example of megaflora on the planet. Those spheres are known for their artificial light environment and advanced heating systems to ensure that Thraxian population gets access to enough heat and light if need be. Physical characteristics. Type: Reptilian avian. Height: 28 to 42 cm standing, 65 to 90 cm in length, including tail, 1 to 1.2 meters wingspan. Weight: 18 to 29 kilograms. Coloration: very varied. Males more diverse and vibrant, females more timid. Diet: omnivore. Senses: exceptional hearing and eyesight, above average sense of smell. Forms of communication: vocal. Reproduction: eggs. Incubation: 4 months. Lifespan: 35 to 42 years. Maturity: 6 years. Special traits. Thraxians have 2 sets of wings, upper and lower. Both are very muscular, and each wing can be somewhat controlled independently. This allows Thraxians to maneuver in air and even hover in place. Both arms and legs of Thraxians have functional thumb and ability to use tools. This trait evolved to allow Thraxians to grab onto branches of their home-world trees. Thraxians are exceptional multitaskers, able to control all 4 of their wings and both arms and legs independently. Thraxians are exceptional flyers and have amazing comprehension of three-dimensional space, able to navigate both through eyesight and form of echolocation. This is possible because Thraxian horns are in fact hollow and connected to their hearing apparatus, allowing them to use a form of echolocation. This species showed that they have exceptional reaction speed. Thraxian eyesight is amazing. They are able to spot possible prey or object of interest from great distance and notice the smallest details of their target. Thraxians evolved the ability to breathe both dense and thin atmosphere with relative ease, so difference in height of flight have little effect on them. Because of their world nature, Thraxians evolved the ability to hibernate for short periods of time, surviving even the harshest cold. They can force themselves through periods of hibernation if they have access to heat, light, and few special fruits from their home world. Periods of hibernation is balanced out with periods of hyperactivity, when Thraxians can go without sleep for about a week-long period. Avoiding regular periods of hibernation and sleep is unhealthy for Thraxians. Thraxians have hollow bones and very limited strength and toughness, making them vulnerable to almost any type of damage. Unlike many other species, Thraxians don't have as deep fear of death as other species. Same goes for aging. Thraxians is almost immune to fear of death. Psychological characteristic. Thraxian are fascinating species. Their homeworld and their environment made them into one of the most unique members of the coalition. Thraxians are very curious and very adventurous by nature. They love to explore and experience new things. This almost childlike excitement is tempered by their comprehension of their vulnerability. They know they aren't as strong or as tough as other species, but they are quite smart and very fast, allowing them to escape most dangers they encounter. Thraxians are very creative and crafty people. Art, music, architecture, and more are ways that Thraxians express themselves. This is most clearly seen in Thraxian language, that is inseparable from singing. Words are only half of expression. Tone and intonation are even more important and can completely change the context of the sentence. Thraxians are a very social species that love to communicate and have contact with others. In fact, isolation is one of the few things Thraxians truly dread. They need contact with others, no matter how small. Thraxians live in communal dwellings, where multiple families share a single home. They mate for life and care deeply for their young. A group of Thraxian families living together is known as bundle, most likely because of a traditional way Thraxians hibernate, laying together in quite literal bundle to keep each other warm through the few days of winter. Thraxians divide themselves into clans, which specialize in different things or rule over given territory. What is interesting, however, is that concept of war between Thraxians didn't exist. With their very small form and multiple dangerous predators roaming around, Thraxians developed idea of deep cooperation between individual tribes, long before establishing proper advanced civilization. Thraxians are very communal and democratic society. Decisions are made by a bundle or a clan, not an individual. Their experience being far from the top of food chain make them seek cooperation and unity wherever and however they could. They are intelligent, expressive, and emotional, empathetic people, which proven themselves a great value to the coalition. History. Thraxians don't have much of a history before their encounter with the Coalition. Similarly to Vorg, they were in the Stone Age when Tau Empire located their planet and then marked the world for colonization. But before proper colony could be established, a deeper research into the planet had to occur. So Tau Empire sent a team to prepare ground for a new colony. After landing and establishing the first outpost, a few young Thraxians sneaked into the main building, first finding food storage and getting a little snack, before discovering a datapad of one of the Firecaster officers, who had an open music application on the device. Outpost staff woke up to the sound of two Thraxians attempting to sing a Gwevesa song. That was the first contact between the two species. For the second time in their history, Tau wrongly identified a Stone Age civilization as a local fauna, the first incident being an encounter with a Vorg. So, yes, if I had a nickel for every time Tau mistaken a Stone Age civilization for an animal, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't much, but it's hilarious that it happened twice. It's ironic how the same thing happened to the biggest and the smallest species that became a member of a coalition. Thankfully, this time, the team sent down onto the planet was still technically in the process of studying local fauna. And with Thraxians being extremely hard to catch and study, only observation from distance was possible. So, while a bit embarrassing, it wasn't as embarrassing as the incident with the Vorg. Watercast specialist managed to learn Thraxian language and establish contact with local clans. Thraxians were surprised by the knowledge and power of the strange visitors, when researchers and diplomats of the coalition were fascinated by Thraxian language, culture, and above everything else, very deep comprehension of cooperation. Unlike the vast majority of species encountered to this point, Thraxians didn't wage wars against one another. Conflicts existed, but were on a personal level. In the name of survival, they cooperated and worked side by side, both on micro and macro scale. This was the first time Coalition encountered a species that, by all accounts, already followed the ideology of a greater good, but simply didn't name it yet. Coalition moved assets onto the moon, allowing Thraxians to establish stable communications with all clans on the moon. They helped with Thraxians' education so they could ease into Coalition society and establish their own government. Thraxians, while optimistic about the idea of a greater good, didn't join the organization at once. Quite the opposite. Their small size made them a cautious species, and so it took around 45 Tau years for Thraxian government, known as United Thraxian Clan Authority, to vote on the officially joining the coalition, with approval of 86% of total population. Because of their technological level and time needed for them to establish themselves, Thraxians became a protectorate of the coalition, spreading through the coalition space and being seen as valuable allies to all who met them. What is interesting is that despite the fact they joined the coalition during their Stone Age, they adopted greater good as ideology, not faith. They are still somewhat spiritual people, but they don't follow any concrete religion of a greater good. Their spiritual belief surrounds their ancestors, homeworld, and other stellar bodies of their home system. Joining the coalition 359 M39 or 4237 Year of Era of Unity. Thraxian joined the coalition in the first stage of so-called Second Great Colonization. First great true colonization effort made by the coalition after union with Ostensi Council and joining of the Krut to their ranks. Thraxians were first of many species to join in that era of expansion, and the experience of their addition to coalition ranks was a humbling and uplifting experience to all, especially because of Thraxian proto-ideology of a greater good, which proven many theories that greater good is the most logical and ethical course of action, so it's obvious that more than one species would follow this code. Both faith and ideology of a greater good was venerated because of this discovery, and Thraxians willingly joining the coalition. Status in the coalition. Protectorate. Thraxians are considered a species that is under protection of a coalition, which isn't surprising seeing how they start as a Stone Age civilization. Despite the centuries that passed since the first encounter and Thraxians acting more as ally rather than protectorate, they are keen of keeping their status as protectorate. Protectorates in the coalition have smaller expectations in terms of supplies and resources given to common coalition fund, which suits Thraxians quite well. They still don't have enough industry and population to provide satisfactory, in their opinion, amount of resources and support to the coalition proper on a large scale, but they are getting closer and closer to their goal of becoming officially recognized as an ally. Government. Technically, Thraxians have two types of governments. United Thraxian Clan Authority, it's interesting decentralized direct democracy. Each clan governs itself in accordance to UTCA constitution, with representatives of each clan being part of the main governing body. When important decisions are to be made, Thraxians vote on them directly and their government obeys the desire of the people. Autonomous clans. Some clans left their homeworld and settled on other worlds. Those enclaves have the same governing system as the clan authority, but they work solo. This system was created by Thraxians for ease of operating of the clans that leave their home planet and settle in coalition proper, so that coalition authorities don't need to contact UTCA about every decision, but discuss with given clan directly. Role within the coalition. What might surprise many, Thraxians play many important roles in the coalition and can be found in every place possible and have close relations with every Tau caste and many other species of the coalition besides. Air caste values Thraxians greatly as secondary pilots and messengers. Both sides are extremely happy with this arrangement, with Aircast pilots getting support of natural flyers with amazing comprehension of three-dimensional space and amazing eyesight. Earthcast is happy to utilize Thraxian's small size in some precise construction, and Thraxians themselves proven to be quite adept at engineering. Watercast values Thraxian love of art and diplomatic mindset, which many times gives them a role of secondary diplomats on many missions. Firecast, on the other hand, values Thraxian eyesight and ability to hide among the fauna of different worlds. Enemy forces that aren't familiar with given environment tend to mistake Thraxian for harmless animal, rather than observer for Skyray gunships. While Thraxians don't fight directly in any combat because of their fragile bodies, they prove themselves excellent scouts, observers, and even saboteurs, capable of delivering explosive into enemy camps unobserved and causing chaos among enemy ranks. Overall, most people see Thraxians in the roles of secretaries, aides, and secondary role officers and staff. Thraxians don't seem to mind. They see it as appropriate for as long as they are a protectorate and not fully pledged ally of the coalition. However, their power is growing rapidly. They are slowly developing weaponry, armor, vehicles, and even fleet that could be crewed and used by Thraxians only. Thraxians proven themselves far more clever than many give them credit for, binding their time and gathering their power, resources, and influence before ascending to the appropriate place within the coalition.